Today's brief history is to celebrate 500,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you for that. It's a big number. It's a very big number. It's got Jaiden in it. Woo! Hello and welcome to another episode of A Brief History. Today's episode, YouTube animation. Ready, set, go.
June 6, 1995. Teenager Tom Fulp launches his own website back in the time when that was a much bigger deal than it is today. This website was known as Newgrounds, and at first the site was mainly a place for Fulp and his friends to develop and release dial-up BBS games. Yeah, we're going way back in the day for this one. I wasn't even born for that. And some of Newgrounds' earliest traction came from these games, particularly Assassin and the oh-so-family-friendly Club a Seal. Yeah, good luck being monetized now, writer. You and your clubbing seals.
Anyway, these two games helped bring the Newgrounds website some of its earliest popularity. And as the years went on, Tom Fulp would continue to grow and expand the site and its content. But fast forward to 1998, and the site was still mostly just stuff made by Tom Fulp. He even implemented a page on the site called The Portal, where he would upload smaller, miscellaneous projects. But The Portal was about to become something much bigger.
As the Newgrounds audience grew, Fulp began to receive messages from Newgrounds fans who had made some games or cartoons of their own, but didn't have anywhere to put them. You see, back in these days, most animated stuff on the internet was both created and distributed using Flash. And while it wasn't too hard to get the Flash program, uploading your Flash content online was extremely difficult. There wasn't a place where you could just immediately upload this stuff and send it out into the world, which gave Fulp an idea. And around the turn of the century, the Newgrounds portal was upgraded to an automated system that allowed users to upload and share their original Flash content. And wow, did that open the floodgates.
For the first time, pretty much ever, independent content creators had an easy and free way to put their creations out into the world. And from that point on, the 2000s was the decade of web cartoons. Suddenly, individual artists making videos in their bedrooms were bringing in hundreds of thousands to millions of views with their Flash cartoons. Artist and voice actor Aaron Hansen gained huge amounts of attention releasing the awesome series of video game parodies. Game designer Edmund McMillen created an all-time indie game classic in the original Meat Boy. And animators like Adam Phillips were creating cartoons that went far above and beyond what most people pictured when they thought Flash cartoon. It was a pioneering era where pretty much anything went. There were no real established rules for making internet videos, so people made literally anything they wanted. And for nearly the entirety of the 2000s, Newgrounds was the center of an online video revolution.
But as the decade neared its end, many of Newgrounds' biggest creators were growing up. They weren't teenagers anymore, and they needed to make money. And while Newgrounds was earning ad revenue, its creators were not. Meanwhile, a certain other online video website was very quickly rising up the ranks. A little website it's YouTube. It's YouTube. We all know it's YouTube. Ryder does this fancy introduction in every video, but it's YouTube. We all know it's YouTube, Ryder.
But anyway, by the late 2000s, YouTube had been around for a few years and was honestly a lot more accessible than sites like Newgrounds. Videos on YouTube may not have looked as good as they did on Newgrounds thanks to video compression, but they loaded a lot faster. However, YouTube's real ace in the hole here was monetization. By 2008, YouTube's partnership program was in its early stages, and several other networks were popping up that offered to pay YouTube's larger creators for their content. So for the Newgrounders who wanted to start making money, YouTube was kind of a no-brainer.
And thus began the great animator migraine? I mean, it's not wrong. And thus began the great animator migration from Newgrounds to the YouTube promised land. Oh boy, did they have a storm coming. Throughout 2008, several popular Newgrounds animators started uploading their content to YouTube, either in addition or instead of the Newgrounds site. And luckily for them, the transition went incredibly smooth. When these animators started uploading to YouTube, a good portion of their Newgrounds audience jumped ship with them, giving their channels an early boost and immediate audience to help them get started. It's kind of like when all the Viners just invaded YouTube in 2017, but with less pawls.
And over the next few years, YouTube animators began to thrive. Videos were increasing in quality, raking in millions upon millions of views, and now earning a really decent living thanks to YouTube's monetization. It really was a golden age for online animation. But we all know what's coming next. Outside of the animation scene, not all was well on YouTube. You see, back in the day, YouTube systems rewarded videos that got large amounts of views. The amount of views a video got helped determine what channels YouTube promoted and subsequently how much money a YouTuber made. But many users chose to take advantage of this system, using misleading titles and thumbnails to essentially trick people into watching their videos, which were pretty much never accurate to what the thumbnail or title advertised. This was clickbait, like actual clickbait. And YouTube users were just not having it, clicking away from these videos mere seconds after they started playing.
And YouTube definitely took notice, and were like, dude, don't. So in 2012, YouTube set into motion the infamous algorithm shift. Videos were no longer rewarded simply on how many views they gained, but rather how long users were watching that video or channel. As many of us know by now, this is watch time. And this meant that YouTube was now heavily incentivizing users to make longer content that could be uploaded on a regular basis, paving the way for Let's Plays and daily vlogs to take over the site for the next few years. But the problem here was in combating some bad apples, several YouTubers began to see an overall decline in their analytics. Views were down, and so was income. And the animation scene, whew, they got freaking doofed. Oh god. Most YouTube animators were only able to put out one 2-minute long video every 5 to 6 months. And under a retention-based algorithm, they didn't stand a chance. They're freaking dead. Bye.
Animation channels were struggling big time, with many of the classic Newgrounds animators having to completely rethink what they were doing on YouTube. And from 2012 on, several prominent animators actually shifted away from cartoons to make more YouTube-friendly content. One of the more famous examples of this being the Let's Play channel Game Grumps, which was created by Newgrounds legend Aaron Hansen and included his friend and fellow animator Ross O'Donovan as one of their hosts.
And speaking of Ross, by 2014, the decline of YouTube animation had become so apparent that he decided to take to his personal YouTube channel and release an entire video expressing his frustrations and concerns about the state of independent online animation. The video was uploaded on August 1st, 2014, and garnered quite a bit of attention within the animation community.
But here's where things get a little more interesting. You see, in his video, Ross said this.
Alternatively, animators have chosen to produce simpler animations in the form of animatics, lesser quality animated cartoons that kind of keep the same comedic vision intact.
Which was true, but maybe not quite in the way he expected. Yes, a few Newgrounders were now making more animatic-style versions of the sketches they were known for, but it went a little deeper than that. For around the same time, there were a couple of creators on YouTube who were trying something a bit different. And these YouTubers were Swoozie and Domix.
Unlike many of the classic YouTube animators, Dom and Swoozy's videos had a lot more in common with old-school YouTube vlog channels, telling life stories and discussing different topics. But rather than just sitting in front of a camera and doing a bunch of jump cuts, Domix and Swoozy told their stories through animation. Granted, it was a much simpler form of animation than what the Newgrounders were known for, but much like Ross said, it retained the same comedic vision. And this new vlog/animatic hybrid began to gain an audience in its own right, with Swoozy reaching 1 million subscribers in early 2013 and Domix following suit in 2015.
So these guys really seemed to be onto something. But despite the success they were seeing, they were kinda the only two big channels on YouTube who were really running with this animated storytime thing. Keyword being big channels. If you dug a little deeper into the YouTube scene, there were actually a handful of smaller channels taking heavy inspiration from what Dom and Swoozy created. Chief among them, the Odd Ones Out and Jaiden Animations.
Me.
These two both started their channels in 2014, specialized in animated story videos, and began to gain pretty respectable audiences. But come 2016, something just kinda clicked, and both Jaiden and The Odd Ones Out began to explode in popularity. Something about their particular brand of relatable storytelling and engaging animation really struck a chord with the 2016 YouTube audience, with both of their channels smashing through 1 million subscribers before that year had even finished. And the meteoric rise of these channels kinda sparked a movement. Throughout 2017, we saw the rise of several new animated story channels. Channels like Something Else YT, Let Me Explain Studios, Tim Tom, Tabs, Cypher Den, and so many more. The community of animators on YouTube was suddenly growing and growing. What was once a handful of creators trying something new had grown into a full-fledged genre of content taking YouTube by storm. For the first time in a long time, animators are some of the biggest names on all of YouTube. Not just surviving, but again, thriving. Defying the YouTube algorithm and completely taking over the site. And hey, if you don't believe me, take a look at this year's VidCon. Animators ruled VidCon 2018. James and Jaiden merch was absolutely everywhere, and events surrounding the community saw turnouts in the thousands. If it wasn't obvious before, VidCon 2018 solidified animation's return to the top.
Online animation has come quite a long way over the past couple decades. The early days of Newgrounds, way back in the late 90s and early 2000s, produced some of the most defining internet videos of all time. Those animated sketches and parody cartoons still inspire young YouTubers to this day, and even when the algorithm shift happened and the animation genre got just obliterated, it managed to survive, evolve, and bounce back even stronger. And it's not just animated storytellers either. There's still plenty of successful YouTube channels releasing animated sketches and parodies. There's the whole musical animatics scene, Game Grumps animators. They're all over the place. So whether you're a fan of the old school Newgrounds classics, the more personality-driven modern brand of animated storytelling, or anything in between, it's clear that there's no better time in YouTube history to be a fan of animation. Thanks for watching, guys. DFTBA.
Hey guys, I really hope you liked that video. This episode of A Brief History was made to celebrate the FootofaFerret channel surpassing 500,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. You guys are the best, and I wanted to thank you for all the support you've given the channel, as cliche as that sounds. I want to give a big thanks to Ross O'Donovan for helping me research this episode, and I want to give a massive shout out to Jaiden for co-hosting the episode with me. Her channel was actually the first animation channel I ever covered on A Brief History, so it just felt right to bring her onto this episode. If you want to check out some of Jaiden's videos, you can click the box on the right. If you want to see some more Brief History, then you can click the box on the left. And be sure to click that button in the middle to subscribe to this channel so you can catch all future episodes of A Brief History. And I think that's about it, so I'll say it again, guys. Thanks for watching, and DFTBA.